Barok Vult drummed his 4 talons against the polished obsidian desk, each tap echoing through his private office aboard the Mercenary flagship, Crimson Talon. His mottled green skin flushed with anticipation as the holographic contract projection floated before him, the number of zeros making his secondary eyelids flutter involuntarily. 20 million galactic credits? For one ship? Barok whistled through his nasal slits, his mandibles clicking in amusement. Either someone really hates these humans, or I'm missing something catastrophically important. His second-in-command, Liza Mox, a lithe blue-skinned Quantari with an uncanny talent for spotting ambushes, leaned against the doorframe. Boss, when payment looks too good to be true, it usually means we're the ones walking into a trap. Oh please, Barok scoffed, waving a dismissive talon. It's a human vessel. One ship. Their species barely figured out FTL travel a century ago. My clutch mother could outmaneuver them with her navigation fins tied behind her back. Liza's facial tentacles twitched nervously. I've heard stories. Stories are for hatchlings and drunken port dwellers, Barok interrupted, rising to his impressive 2.5-meter height. Now help me look presentable. Our mysterious client will be docking in 20 minutes. Mr. Naltek was not what Barok expected. The slender, gray-skinned businessman wore an immaculately tailored suit that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. His eyes, all 7 of them, remained unblinking throughout their meeting in the Crimson Talon's luxurious conference room. I trust the payment is satisfactory? Naltek's voice sounded like gravel being crushed beneath expensive boots. Barok leaned forward, his combat-scarred face splitting into what passed for a grin among his species. For 20 million, I'd personally swim through a supernova. But curiosity plagues me, why so much for a single human ship? Information costs extra, Commander Vult. Naltek's thin lips barely moved. Consider it professional due diligence, Barok countered. My crew deserves to know what they're flying into. Naltek sighed, a sound like air escaping a punctured lung. Very well. The target vessel, designation Artemis, carries something my employers want. Removed from existence. As for the high payment, he paused, sliding a data crystal across the table, the ship belongs to Human Special Forces. Barok barked a laugh so loud it startled even Liza. Special Forces? Of humans? What's so special about them? Do they have 3 arms instead of 2? Naltek didn't join in the laughter. The crystal contains their projected route through the Cygnus void. Intercept them, destroy the ship, leave no survivors. Payment transfers upon confirmation. As their client departed, Liza approached cautiously. Boss, I've heard rumors about Human Special Forces. They're supposed to be different. Barok inserted the crystal into the ship's computer, watching as the ambush coordinates materialized in glowing blue light. Different how? They bleed just like everyone else, he chuckled, already planning how to spend his share of 20 million credits. It's only one ship. What could possibly go wrong? Only one ship? Part 2, the ambush gone wrong. This is almost too perfect, Barok purred, surveying the tactical display where a dozen of his ships lay hidden among the dense asteroid field. His flagship remained cloaked behind the largest rock formation, weapons primed and ready. The humans will fly right into our waiting jaws. Lieutenant Drex, his tactical officer, nodded enthusiastically, his throat sac inflating with pride. I've positioned our ion disruptors to hit their engines first. They'll be dead in space before they even register our presence. Brilliant work, Barok clapped Drex on the shoulder, nearly knocking the smaller alien off his feet. I've fought Crawl Death Squads and Vespidian Hive fleets. These humans and their precious special forces will be nothing but space dust in minutes. Liza Mox remained unconvinced, obsessively checking sensor readings at her station. Something feels wrong. It's too quiet. Quiet is good in an ambush, my paranoid friend, Barok laughed, baring his serrated teeth. Now silence. They're approaching. The bridge crew watched as a sleek, matte black vessel emerged from hyperspace, gliding gracefully into the asteroid field. It was smaller than expected, with no visible weapons arrays or defense systems. The designation, Artemis, was barely visible on its hull. That's it? That's what we're being paid 20 million credits to destroy? Barok couldn't contain his amusement. It looks like a pleasure yacht. Sir. They're scanning the asteroids, a sensor operator called out. They suspect nothing. Spring the trap. Barok commanded, slamming his fist on the armrest of his command chair. 6 mercenary ships decloaked simultaneously, unleashing a barrage of destructive energy that engulfed the human vessel. Direct hits registered across its hull, and for a moment, the bridge crew of the Crimson Talon erupted in premature celebration. Too easy. Drex shouted, raising his clawed appendage triumphantly. Then the impossible happened. The damaged human ship suddenly accelerated, moving faster than any damaged vessel should be capable of, and released what looked like a swarm of metallic insects. What in the 7 hells are those? Barok demanded, leaning forward in his chair. Liza's face drained of color. Combat drones. Hundreds of them. The tiny drones moved with terrifying coordination, weaving between asteroids before attaching themselves to the hulls of 4 mercenary ships. Simultaneous explosions ripped through the ambush fleet. Impossible. Barok roared as the bridge rocked violently from a direct hit. They were prepared. 3 more mercenary vessels vanished in blinding flashes of light. On screen, the human ship, now visibly damaged but very much operational, was launching what appeared to be boarding pods toward the Crimson Talon. They're targeting our command systems. Liza shouted over blaring alarms. These aren't regular humans. Barok staggered as another explosion shook the ship. All vessels, emergency retreat. Scatter formation. His voice cracked with panic. How? How? It's only 1 ship. Through the viewport, Barok watched in horror as his carefully orchestrated ambush dissolved into a desperate rout, with the human vessel methodically hunting down his fleeing mercenaries one by one. #only 1 ship? Part 3. The survivors. Barok Vult nursed his drink in the darkest corner of the Broken Thruster, a seedy establishment on the outskirts of Mercenary Row in Omega Station. 3 days had passed since the disaster. Of his proud fleet of 14 ships, only 2 had escaped, the Crimson Talon limping away with catastrophic damage and a small scout vessel that had been positioned at the edge of the asteroid field. 86 crew members, he muttered, his once commanding voice now a hollow whisper. 86 of my people, gone. For what? 1 human ship? Liza Mox, sporting a freshly bandaged arm and facial burns, slipped into the booth beside him. Boss, we've got company. A towering, 4-armed Kronax mercenary approached their table, his scarred carapace telling tales of countless battles. Without invitation, he sat down heavily across from them. You went after humans, didn't you? The Kronax asked, mandibles clicking softly. Special forces? Barok's head snapped up. How did you? The look on your face. Same one I had 2 cycles ago. Name's Gruff. He extended one of his 4 massive hands. Lost 3 ships and my left secondary eye to those devils. You knew? You knew how dangerous they were. Barok hissed, anger momentarily displacing his shock. Gruff shrugged his armored shoulders. Everyone who survived knows. That's why there's an unofficial blacklist circulating. No reputable mercenary outfit accepts contracts against human special forces anymore. As if on cue, other mercenaries began gravitating toward their table, a slender Tekri pilot missing half her sensory tendrils, a burly Vulcan demolitions expert with prosthetic legs, and several others bearing both visible and invisible scars. Let me guess, said the Tekri, her voice melodic despite the grim conversation. You thought it would be easy because it was only one ship? Barok nodded numbly. That's how they get you, the Vulcan rumbled. The humans have this saying, quality over quantity. They don't need armadas. One ship is enough. Gruff leaned forward conspiratorially. Ever heard of the Ghost Team? When Barok shook his head, Gruff continued, elite human unit. They say they once infiltrated the Hegemony Empress's personal fortress with just 6 operatives. Walked right through 3 battalions of guards without firing a shot. Impossible, Liza whispered. The Sarkeen massacre, added the Tekri. 1 human ship against 17 Sarkeen dreadnoughts. No survivors on the Sarkeen side. Another mercenary joined in. They adapt to everything. Use your tech against you. That's why Naltek's been having trouble finding takers for his contracts lately. Barok froze mid-drink. You know Naltek? The table fell silent. Gruff's eyes narrowed. He approached all of us. Those who refused are sitting here. Those who accepted. He gestured around the bar. Notice anyone missing? A cold realization washed over Barok. His fleet wasn't the first sent against the Artemis. And based on the grim expressions surrounding him, they wouldn't be the last to fall prey to the seemingly unbeatable humans. #only one ship? Part 4. The Blacklist. The Grand Hall of the Mercenary Guild buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from every major outfit in the sector crowded around the circular table. Barok Vult, still bearing the scars from his encounter with the Artemis, had called this emergency gathering, the first of its kind in 30 years. Order. I call this meeting to order, bellowed Madame Clax, the ancient Hydraxian who had overseen the guild for longer than most members had been alive. Her translucent skin pulsed with bioluminescent warning patterns. Commander Vult has the floor. Barok stood, his once proud posture now humbled. Fellow mercenaries, I come before you not with glory tales, but with a warning. The humans, specifically their special forces, are unlike any adversary we have encountered. A ripple of murmurs spread through the assembly. Please, Barok continued, activating a holographic display. Share your experiences. The guild must know what we face. What followed was 3 hours of increasingly unbelievable accounts. The Pincer brothers described how a single human commando had reprogrammed their ship's waste management system to flood the bridge with sewage during a firefight. Captain Zelba recounted watching a human trick 4 pursuing gunships into crashing into each other by exploiting their automated collision avoidance systems. Most disturbing was Commander Thrax's testimony about humans using their own dead as booby-trapped decoys. They call it thinking outside the box, Gruff explained, his scarred face solemn. Except there is no box for them. Just infinite, terrifying possibilities. Madame Clax's tendrils quivered as she raised her appendage. I have heard enough. I propose an official guild blacklist. Any contract targeting human special forces will be marked as Category Omega, suicidal risk, automatic rejection. The vote was unanimous. After the meeting, Barok found himself with an unexpected new career, traveling between mercenary outposts as the official, Human Special Forces Awareness Officer, delivering lectures on the dangers of underestimating humanity's elite warriors. And that's why you never accept a contract where the pay seems too good for the job, Barok concluded his latest presentation to a group of young mercenaries on Proxima Station. Any questions? The audience filed out, properly terrified, all except one confident Centauri commander who approached Barok afterward. Fascinating tales, old-timer, the young alien smirked, his iridescent scales gleaming under the hall lights. But surely these stories are exaggerated for effect? After all, they're just humans. Barok's face fell. Let me guess. You've been offered a contract? Something about intercepting a single human vessel? The Centauri's eyes widened. How did you, and the client? Gray skin, 7 eyes, voice like death itself? Yes. Mr. Naltek. He's offering 30 million credits. For one tiny ship called the Artemis. Can you believe it? Barok stared at the ceiling and sighed deeply. Some lessons, it seems, must be learned firsthand. Just do me a favor. What's that? If you somehow survive, come find me. The guild pays well for fresh horror stories.